Hey there, everyone. Soul Tiger is here with a new moon, full moon interpretation. All right, so the buildup from the past months is the celestial energies have pulled back a veil, right? Pluto, Pluto on the 9th of this month entered the 11th house, Aquarius. Aquarius house represents social aspirations, ideas, and reform. All right. So, and specifically, Pluto energy represents basic life drives of sex, aggression, the part of that cuts through to the externals and gets down to life and death matters. The will to control and dominate was discovered in 1930. Death and hidden matters, meaning the underworld, death and rebirth. So, especially when it comes to sex and aggression, what it is this we are now facing what has been exposed by pulling the veil back. And it has a lot to do with feminine energy, not just things being done onto feminine energy, but the way we operate within our own feminine energy, because everybody both has masculine and feminine energy. And when I get into the mythology about both signs, you're going to be like, this kind of stuff has been trickling out for a while. And it was meant to trickle out to this buildup at this time now. So let's go ahead and continue. So this moon, which has this 8th house, also Scorpios, right? Scorpio, 8th house transformation through relationships. Then you have Pluto, which is Scorpio's planet. Scorpio represents feminine energy in the negative aspect. All right. So then you have the full moon, which is getting ready to happen. Your full moon is in Taurus. Taurus is also represented by negative feminine energy. This is why I'm saying, they're saying that there is a reform that needs to happen when it comes to us operating in feminine energy. So, with Taurus in the 2nd house, this identification with substance. Ooh. Yes, 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 yes. How we're going to dive deep into this. Both of these signs are fixed. Scorpio, I desire. Taurus, I have. So let's keep moving forward. So, what's interesting about both these signs, again, they're fixed. So, the veil's been pulled back in an area where we have reached peaks at. You have plateaus, you have valleys on your life path in your story. We also have peaks. And sometimes people get stuck at this peak thinking that they can't go down and climb another mountain. They can't go through another valley. They can't go through another experience. This is just the view I will have. Fixed energy is so stubborn. This is stubborn in how a person has their stability, but this is also stubborn in how a person feels within their emotions. Whew. All right, so let's continue on. So we'll talk about the mythology really quick. So the mythology behind the Scorpio's energy has to do with the goddess Artemis. Now, Artemis was the twin to Apollo. I like Apollo a lot. I really do. I identify with Apollo so much. I'm not going to lie. Really am learning about Artemis too. So let's go ahead. So Apollo would have been the sun god. So Artemis being the twin opposite feminine energy, because Apollo's masculine would represent the moon. where he would be the sky, she would be the earth. All right. So Artemis, or it could have been Apollo, it was one of the two, but in two books it does mention Artemis. So Artemis called upon a scorpion to defend against Orion. Little backstory to Orion is he was a great hunter, a huntsman. He was actually supposed to marry somebody else, clear the whole island from beasts for this person, and then he delayed it. We all know a guy like that. No. He delayed it, and he ended up where Artemis was. Now, it's unclear because Artemis called the Scorpio for one of three reasons. One, it could be that she did not want Orion to take out all the animals. Another reason it could have been is that Orion had been love bombing Artemis, and then Orion was pursuing somebody else. So she got jealous, and hell have no fury like a scorned woman. Mm-mm. Or the third one is it kind of was like a Medusa situation where Artemis was being attacked by Orion. And so she called upon the scorpion to defend her against Orion. So, to honor the Scorpio for its act of defending Artemis, she created the Scorpio into a constellation, the Scorpion. All right. So you notice how it could have to do with a few things here. Either Orion was trying to take out something somebody really loved, Orion was trying to do something they weren't supposed to, trying to take something that wasn't theirs, or Orion was just playing with somebody's feelings. This has to do with a lot of like love driven kind of things, either things that we love, things that are tied to our virtue, stuff like that. So we got that one. Then the mythology behind Taurus is, whew, whew, it has to do with that one Greek god who got around. And roundy round did this Greek god go. Who am I talking about? Zeus. Zeus. So, Zeus, his story is about kind of like deception and manipulation. When he was getting around, you can honestly ask yourself, like, how many times was he actually honest and fair and like gave the other person an opportunity? Because there was a time that he did sleep with a king's wife to get back at this king. I believe it has to do with the Gemini twins. There's that story with the Gemini twins, but there was another one too. Who does it? I can't remember who it has to deal with. I'm forgetting their name, but there was a good movie behind that one as well. So yeah, Zeus was always doing some kind of deceptive thing. So Clash of the Titans story, that one, that was a good movie too. Anyway, so Zeus was peeping from the heavens or Olympus, wherever his ass was at, and seeing Europia. Europia was a princess or something like that, and her maidens were up on the beach having a good old innocent time, and Zeus is like, I gotta have that. I gotta have that. So basically, he's like, I can't come down as Zeus. I can't do that. I haven't done it in the past. Why would I do it now? So he transforms himself into a bull, and as the bull, he struts up on this island. Mhm. Uh-huh. Look at me. Look at me. I'm gentle. I'm docile. I'm something that you can trust, is the energy that he brings in when he goes into this group of maidens. And he lays down upon the ground to show how gentle he is. And Europia, trusting that, was like, I'm going to sit on his back. Ooh. And what did this bull do? What did Zeus do? Well, that was his opportunity to act. Zeus then took off, not fast, but went straight from the beach into the water and swam and took Europia to an island where she bore him 3 children. And I feel like for each child, he gave her a gift, a spear, a hound, and a bronze man who drove away strangers. Now, they tie each of these gifts into Taurus's personalities. I have a sibling who's a Taurus, and I'm always telling this sibling how they love their little island and they never want to come off that island. And then it's just interesting running into the mythology behind this. But anyhow, so it represents them. Definitely the stubbornness could come from like the hound in a sense, the dodginess could come from, or just dodging stuff in a sense, could come from this spear. All right. And then being able to pursue things also comes from the hound energy, and it comes from this spear energy. But the fact that they remained on this island, what it means they remain in their comfort zone, is because of the bronze man. The bronze man that was the gift chases off anything and everything, whether it's good, bad, could be something that brings in something new. And if you look at a lot of Tauruses, they have a hard time getting out of their comfort zone. So, how does this feed into what's happening now? Is if you look at both of these stories and you look at more of the negative charge sense with the feminine energy, how there was deception, how there could have been manipulation, how there could have been some kind of forcing upon with the Artemis story, or there could be jealousy. It has to do with how we have relationships for others, how we go and pursue those relationships, but also with the I desire kind of sense. Desire meaning a strong feeling of wanting to have something, wishing something to happen. And Scorpio is tied to the sexual organs. So, what we could confuse desire with is with lust. Because in this day and age, we are heavily sexualized through our distractions, these devices. And the meaning of lust is very strong sexual desire. So, this is where we kind of like have looked at feminine energy in a negative aspect, or we've used negative feminine tendency to cope with the things that didn't come to fruit of the stuff that we truly desire at the core. There's times where we desire more of peaceful times, but the only time we feel like we have a peaceful time is maybe by filling a void through lust. And that could be being able to identify our self value by how somebody lusts after us, or if we get whatever we're lusting for. So, in the news media, with this whole trickling of the Epstein, the Winehouse, and now the Diddy stuff, this is how we have had the feminine energy, feminine tendencies, how we've also treated feminine energy. So again, it's going to be the opposite of positiveness. Positiveness. There you go. Compassion, acceptance, kindness, and mercy. but also how there's been a lot of manipulation around feminine energy, how there has also been forced being put upon feminine energy, forced views, forced outlooks, forced disconnection. And remember, we have both these energies within us. So, how does this play at the core to an individual? A lot of times we force ourselves to have these certain outlooks in order to feel like we move forward. And this identification with substance is how we'll use other things, primarily things of like consumption, consumerism, to fill voids, to try and create that different identification, a sense of what we run from and what we're trying to avoid or cover up, I should say. So let's talk about 1111. So 1111 and how this feeds into this. This is going to be reaching pretty far into some stuff here. So 1111, when I focus on that, and the reason why I'm not hyped up around 1111 is I've been hyped up in the past, but with my past self, I haven't been as connected as what I am now. And when I look at 1111 and the imaging I'm receiving, it's a time warp. But this is a time warp that is man made. And this time warp, when I ask for how long it lasts until 111. And depending on where you're at, could depend on the events that are happening between these two dates. Now, remember what I was saying, that we like to fill our voids through consumerism? If you look at between these two dates, there's a lot of consumerism that is happening, being pushed upon us. If you actually look at the seasons that are happening at this time, this is a time where we're supposed to have time to draw back and be able to reassess the things that have happened through this year, through the different relationships that we have around us. I say 1111 is more man made because it's more driven into the aspect of keeping us distracted through consumerism instead of us getting more in touch with ourselves. Now, I would say one of our purposes in life is to come back to our inner being, our soul self. When we come back to our soul self, we connect up to source, whatever you define the source as. So, and for me, the universal divine source, God, whatever you want to call it, energy is one of love, 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 love. And one of the things that is man-made through consumerism is creating an environment or a perception that the only way we can be adored on is through the things that we have. Mm. What we don't understand is how we have been, in a sense, manipulated, even with social media, to not have these transformations through relationships, to keep these harsh views on how we identify with ourselves through these relationships. What? I know I'm reaching far here. But what I will say here is, in life, we are not meant to keep every relationship from the elementary years, schoolyard years, throughout our lives. Not every relationship is supposed to be like that. If you have a few of them, that's great. You are blessed. That is wonderful. But what I'm getting at is when you stop having this transformation, finding yourself through these relationships, these new establishing goals, these new established desires, what you actually have, but what you actually know. This is all gained through life experiences with others here. But when you can't gain those experiences because you can't move on from these peaks, then you stay stuck. People are supposed to come in and out of our lives. It's the natural flow of things. Do we get stuck on one season? No, we have to have a few seasons, if not 4 seasons, for everything to fully flow, for everything to fully come to cycle. That's what happens with individual relationships we have with people, places, or things. This is why I said that this man made time warp of 1111 is to keep us stuck in this. This is why you see more ads, if not only ads, pertaining to you buying stuff that doesn't actually feed a person. It actually keeps them distracted. And what I mean by feed a person is like mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's all things geared to keep people distracted. That is my view into the 1111 to the 111 time warp. And what happens again is you're on this escalator going so quickly, and all these relationships that you've had, the way you've identified yourself through these relationships, keep swirling around because it's stuff, again, that we're supposed to work through. But stuff is made to speed up, then thrown at you, because you ever notice when things are going by quick, when you feel like you don't have enough time, when you're frantic, you make like really quick decisions. And a lot of times those quick decisions are just to appease for that time. It doesn't actually mean what you really want at the core. Yes. So this is why I picked the universe oracle. So with this new moon in Scorpio, this transformation through a lot of relationships, it's looking back and working through the fears. The fears where we felt like we didn't show up. The fears where we felt like we could have been incompetent. The fears where we feel like we weren't enough. And it's finding that lesson, finding that transformation, and understanding everything happens for a reason. You went through that specific situation to help you reach a view that you have now. But this view isn't one that you keep forever. This view is supposed to let you move on. So, how is it that you can bring in some compassion, acceptance, and kindness to these situations, these different transformations that you've had through this year and through your past, to help your dreams getting that practical plan of where you want to go, creating that stability in where you want to go? It's being stubborn is not a bad thing, because that means that you're not going to let distractions rock you. So, in a sense, it's going from one fixed view onto another fixed view. Yes, we see what has happened in our view now, but what is the other side of the coin? What is it that we could have? What is it that we could achieve? Where is it that we really can go? Because where we're at on this peak is not meant for us to stay there. Because our life journey is always going, 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 and growing, growing, growing. So let's take it back to the universe oracle. And let's see. Let's go for 3 cards. 3 cards. What will help us through this time warp on this big project that we're working on? When it comes to reflecting, looking back on these relationships, working through the fear of them, just know I am the loving energy of the universe. Look at that. It's all meant. The good, the bad, all of it, to help you get to where you need to go. Don't forget that. All right. So, what's the second card? Second card. Second card is something that we don't see. We could be a little, not a little, very confused on. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lenses of love. Yes, 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 that inner light. You're not a bad person because of how stuff worked out or because it didn't work out the way you was hoping it to, or it worked out and now so many years later you don't like the way it worked out. It was all meant. Again, be compassionate, be open, open to new things, open to receiving people in a different way. All right. So, last message. Last message here is my vibes speak louder than my words. What that means here, let me show you. Look at those butterflies. A butterfly does not have the strongest wings. You know, they're not out there flying like eagles, hawks, but yet they are so soft and they still can navigate this world. They don't get up and say, oh shit, I woke up as a butterfly. I better not go out today because the likely chances I'm going to get eaten because I got these wings that don't go fast are very likely. No, a butterfly gets up no matter who they are, and they always fly off to what they need to do. Being who they are, nothing more, nothing less. Being able to flow with the different currents, your different thoughts, you know, and having that transformation within those thoughts, how you think of yourself, how you feel about yourself. When that happens, you release a lot of tension, whether it's body tension, whether it's emotional tension. Being able to connect with yourself again means that you're going to be able to connect with a higher vibration, and that's love, honestly. So, yeah. This is the big project that we're going to basically be working on till the 111. Next month, they're going to toss in like a few other projects with the new moon, full moon. But this is the one that we are carrying, and this is the one that's going to take time. And this is the one that will help shape how we go into next year. So, yes, very, very beautiful energy here. This is a lot. This is a lot, but life is a lot. Don't forget, and I tell my clients all the time, life is hard. Let's be real with it. Life is hard. When we stress out, we tend to take care of ourselves less. And again, I feel like one of the biggest things for our journey is to come back to ourselves, realizing how to take care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. So, this is a part of this big project. How do you want to learn from this? To face what's being shown? How do you want to be kind to yourself? How do you want things to change for the next year to come for you, too? There's a lot of possibilities out there. A lot of possibilities. An example I can give you is I'm an introvert at heart. I'm an introvert at heart. But because of my social anxiety, I've been working on my social skills. So somebody had told me, you're an introvert who wears extrovert clothing. I was like, it was the biggest compliment ever. It showed that I have gotten my, how do I put it, the way I socialize on a very good aspect for myself, the way I go about it, the energy that I put to it, also the conviction in the way that I talk, the way that I express myself. But at the end of the day, I know that my identification is not going to change to an extrovert. My identification is still an introvert. And I am okay with that. And I'm okay with the extroverts trying to make me an extrovert, but it's not going to work. Because for myself, I like being on my own. I like not having to work on so many external things. I like working on more internal stuff. And what I found is me as an introvert has helped me heal a lot of things. Because when it comes to looking for the opinions of others, a lot of times I have to come back to myself. I mean, I do take into consideration others, but what it is I've had a lot of things happen through different relationships throughout the year. And it really brought me back to where do I want to be? And I want to be still an introvert. I think being an introvert is one of the most funnest things in the world. I'm not gonna lie. So what it is how are we gonna identify with ourselves with the start of the next year? What did we learn about all this stuff to where we can come solid in the way that we identify with ourselves? How can we protect ourselves? How we can create that stability, security within ourselves. How we can overcome the distractions that feed our primitive side. And those distractions operate through lust. So, yeah, I think this is going to conclude it, or I'm going to just stay rambling. Me. So, thank you for hanging out. Hope y'all enjoyed this interpretation. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.